Hey, so this is going to be a video that I've been wanting to make for a while. It's not going to be a popular video, but it's a very necessary one because I need to clarify kind of what my views are and are not on this topic. So without any further ado, let's get into it. I've kind of had a weird, evolution of my views on this topic. For those of you that don't know, I come from a conservative Christian background, so I was taught very basic things on gender roles, and Christian feminism kind of has a unique vibe to it, but, basically that was, I guess you could say, kind of what I grew up with. Then I got to college and things got a little interesting. I had a sociology teacher who was a hardcore feminist, and my reaction to her is probably different than what you would expect. I did not in any way actually take to her views. I was, if anything, kind of repulsed by them. And the reason for that is because she was a misandric woman, and for those of you that don't know, misandry is the opposite of misogyny, which is hatred of women, and thus it is hatred of men. And she clearly hated all of the male undergrad students. I think she called me boy more times than any coach or teacher ever had, growing up. And she also just was very, very aggressive towards any male students' opinions, particularly those of us who, came from conservative backgrounds. Even though those opinions had been shoved down our throats most of our lives growing up, we were probably just echoing, like me, what we had been taught. She was, I guess, determined to, right the wrongs by taking it out on us. And above all else, though, I didn't hate her. I mean, she was a smart woman. There was one thing, though, that was the central focus of what I didn't fully agree with that she taught, and that was that she paraded Islamic feminism as it was greater to or equal to or greater than, to Western feminism, and that I still strongly disagree with. Islamic feminism, is very similar to like what I grew up with, where there's, women are not objectified within Islamic feminism, and if you're like someone like her that sees that as the ultimate goal, well, yeah, then I guess it is more progressive. But that's because nobody is given any choice, within the Middle East. Everything is de-sexualized in the Middle East and in conservative culture, to an extreme degree, And, well, I don't think that, that's entirely bad, that I can just assure you that is not a good way to view sex and a good way to view gender, I grew up where girls, would be paraded in front of the class if they were showing a little too much skin, and it was pretty, I don't know, it was, uncomfortable. And I can assure you, of course, that was mild compared to what Middle Eastern countries do to women, and it's just not something I, took to at all. But anyways, fast forward a little, after having her, I had another feminist teacher at the end of college, and she was much more agreeable and a much more easy person to be around. And she actually had much more reasonable views on feminism as well. It was much more what I expected, though at that time I was still a little bit too conservative to fully take everything that she said. But I did actually started to be pushed more that direction. And then, as the years advanced on, I began to, continue to pay attention to the topic, and watch, various things going on in current events that related to feminism, as well as, pay attention to, any videos I ever saw on the internet that had to do with it. And the more I paid attention, though, the more I began to realize, though, that, while there are some hypocrisies within feminism, and I still do acknowledge those today, I found just as many, if not more so, within some of the hardcore anti-feminist groups like MRAs that I found on the internet. And I, of course, also began to detect more problems with the gender roles, the traditionalism that I've been brought up with. And I began to realize, essentially, that I did lean more towards feminism than towards anti-feminism. Now, before some of you go calling me, a mangina or whatever, keep in mind that, this is a very complicated issue. And, I would not say I identify as a feminist, because there's just too many feminists like Germaine Greer, Andrea Dworkin, or my former sociology teacher that I don't feel comfortable calling myself that title. But that being said, there are still areas of both male and female privilege, and a fair and open-minded feminists will acknowledge those to you, like the one I had in my senior year of college for my human relations class, And, like areas of male privilege are obvious, it's areas of work and politics and military affairs. Most CEOs, within the Fortune 500 are male. Still most top politicians are male at the upper echelons of Congress and, within the courts. Most entrepreneurs and billionaires, it still has a tendency to be strongly male. Now, a true feminist will also, though, acknowledge to you, of course, areas of female privilege. And that is something that I did, though, learn also from anti-feminists as well, because that is why anti-feminists exist. Because they oftentimes have to point out areas of female privilege that hypocritical feminists will not. And some areas of female privilege can all be summed up in one word, and that is victimhood. A woman's privilege is basically to be seen as a victim even when she is not. They have done social experiments out in public where they've had men hit women in public or women hit men in public. When a man hits a woman in public, instantly there's a public outrage. People come and attack the man, and they've had to have police there to keep them in these experiments from getting badly injured. The opposite happens when a woman hits a man. Either people do nothing or they take the woman's side. And, it's no secret, too, that in cases of domestic abuse where the woman is being aggressive towards the man, men will very often not report it because it's considered a sign that you're not manly if you're getting beaten by your wife or attacked by your wife, even though women obviously can hurt men as well. Other areas of female privilege include the, divorce courts and include child custody hearings, and basically the ability of women to be seen as always more maternal than men. Of course, that is a disadvantage of women as well. Women can be unfairly burdened in, cases where, and unfairly burdened in custody hearings where men don't have to take, say, the same level of paternal responsibility. So, this isn't meant to be a rant against women or against feminists, I would say I actually do lean more that direction, and I would acknowledge, and many feminists do acknowledge that. But essentially, there are areas of female privilege as well, And basically, I know this is going to sound really cliche, but I really, truly do want to see, hopefully by the time, I'm an old guy, hopefully we'll be living in a society where what's between your legs will have not that much bearing on what your place is in the world. And I do believe feminists are a key part of that, and so are those who are skeptics of feminism as well, and anti-feminists even. I would say, though, I would make this one differentiation, though. I am more of a supporter of those who are just skeptics of feminism, like Jordan Peterson, than I am of anti-feminists, because usually that smacks of the hard, core conservatism I grew up with, or, some people that are even worse that sometimes just deny, any areas of male privilege and almost do hate women, which is the same thing they accuse feminists of doing, but just the opposite extreme. So, and again, I don't want to, get too wrapped up in labels here, because there are plenty of people, I've encountered smart and enlightened people that identify by every title. But, ultimately, I just wanted to kind of make this video to clarify what I am and am not, so people don't label me as something that I'm not, The bottom line is, I would say that, the more I learn about this topic, the more I can say my views are mixed, but I do have a moderate deference towards feminists because of the more enlightened and more, of the number of feminists I've met who do acknowledge, areas of both male and female privilege. But, I've met many people of other views as well that are also relatively, informed on this. So, if you disagree, feel free to say so in the comment section below. But other than that, just thanks for watching, and see you next time. Bye.